Hey everybody, this is Scott Swinchock. Welcome to the Sink or Swin podcast. Over the course of the year, we're going to be bringing on quite a few of my friends who happen to be subject matter experts on various financial topics, and hopefully we're going to provide you with some relevant information over the course of this year. Thanks again, and welcome to the Sink or Swin podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to the Sink or Swin podcast. I'm here with my good friend, Artie Pitt.
Thank you for having me.
We've been, friends since about 1997.
Yep.
And he is the founder and innovator of a new product, a new business venture called Artie's Hot Sauce. And if you haven't tried it, you need to do so and seek it out. So,
Well, thank you.
yeah, if you want to, talk a little bit about your inspiration or, what passion led you to this endeavor, I think everybody would be, pretty intrigued.
Yeah. Again, thanks for having me. I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, over 2 decades. Not the smartest guy in the world, but I know what I'm good at and I go after it. My first venture was the music industry. I helped start a independent record label and management company. Then quickly pivoted to cannabis, which is another love of mine. And I got a little burned out with that. And there were some issues within the business, and I'm old enough now to know when it's time to pivot. So I pivoted toward hot sauce, almost as like a brain exercise to get me out of a bit of a funk because of what I was doing before. And it just kind of took off on its own.
I mean, I remember you, coming up and having the conversation with me in regard to a new business venture. And I mean, think about it. Music, cannabis, hot sauce, totally different things, yet maybe correlatable.
Yeah, all intertwined. With music, we started in Pittsburgh, kept it very Pittsburgh-centric. My first 2 clients were Khalifa and Mac Miller. We built things slowly, very lean from the ground up. Even if they are different ventures, I'm experienced enough to kind of implement the same strategies into the companies. And with cannabis, it was not as lean as my music industry operation. I was telling you before, when we started, we had worked out of our bedrooms and worked ourselves up pretty high. And in hot sauce, I decided to go more towards the music industry blueprint that I had. And I've kept it very lean. I've kept it Pittsburgh centric. And even though I do have network, even though I do have opportunities in larger cities per se, I'm keeping it Pittsburgh centric and, a Midwestern handcrafted hot sauce. And with music, particularly with Wiz, when we were building him, we were able to keep it Pittsburgh centric in terms of people who are participating in management, people who are doing production, and our team. So I wanted to get that feel back because with cannabis, all the business was in California and it was turning into a headache.
Well, I know we're both foodies, right? Love to eat great food and, accent stuff like hot sauce, salsas, and all that stuff. So I guess, a question I might have is, why exactly hot sauce? You could have went into a lot of different things, but hot sauce is what you landed on, and, you're going full steam ahead, picking up a ton of traction, but, maybe explain to everybody why exactly hot sauce.
Well, I've been into hot sauce and spicy food since I was 8 or 9. My dad and I call it the best day of our lives. We were in La Jolla Beach in San Diego, and I had my first real hot sauce experience. We went and we swam with seals. Some seals came up on us when we were snorkeling in La Jolla, and then we went to dinner. And I had never had Thai food before. And I was like, what's Thai food? This is interesting. And I ordered a yumni beef salad. It's like their traditional, Thai salad, and probably one of their most popular dishes. And I couldn't get enough of it right away. It was spicy. It made me excited. And spicy food feels good for a lot of people. It's healthy. So from there, that was about the age of 9. I never stopped. And my tolerance got higher. And by the time I was 15 or 16, I was pretty well known in my community of friends, as somebody who could eat an incredibly high heat portion of hot sauce including a Reaper pepper, ghost pepper, you name it. So I could do it then. And my passion never left. I just never thought of doing a food venture. And again, going back to the cannabis thing, when it was starting to fade with me a little bit, I started doing this as like a brain exercise to get me out of a little bit of a funk. Um, and we have a backyard and we have barbecues and we have friends over and little kids. And I started making like one or two hot sauces. My kid's mom had bought me a make it at home hot sauce kit or something like that. And not to be arrogant, but I didn't need it. I know how to cook. No, I love to cook. I've also been cooking since I was 13 or 14, and maybe I can tell you that story too if we have time. But people would try it when they came over, and they started asking me if they could buy it, and that was not my intent to get anybody up to that level. I just wanted to share something that I loved. Like I'd share music with people that, I loved music. I'd share that with people. That's what I did as an entrepreneur. High quality cannabis that we produced, and other ventures we have and had in cannabis. I like to not show off, but I like to share things with people that excite me. So people started asking me if they could buy it. I obviously have a ton of passion. People who know me well know me as like the hot sauce king, the spice king, whatever you want to call me. That sounded kind of arrogant. I wasn't quite third person, but so people started asking me to buy it, and as being an entrepreneur for a long time, my most important lesson that I've ever learned is a lot of people, ask, well, what if you're scared? What should you do? How do you make that leap? You just have to make it. I mean, you don't really have a choice. You have to, if you want to be successful, sure, there's things to do before it, but in terms of the work, jump right into the work and let everything else follow that.
Well, the brilliant thing about the entire situation is the fact that it was more of a passion project that, no pun intended, organically grew into something, right?
Yeah.
So when you said you started out with what, like 2 or 3 sauces that you made at home?
Yeah.
Sorry. I was going to say, I know you have about what, like 10 or 12 flavors now?
12 flavors plus my pickles.
Yes.
So I'm very proud about them. My grandma's recipe, but I had a lot of heat to it.
Nice.
She was only known as a drop of Tabasco.
So in regard to like the development of a new flavor, right? What goes into that, and how did you decide, the combination of flavors, and is it through trial and error, or, what's your process in regard to coming up with new?
Arbol Insanity, the one closest to you, is my first experiment. And if you want to read the ingredients, you'd probably think I was a little crazy. That was the first experiment. There's a hot sauce called Ring of Fire. It's been around for a long time, and that inspired me to do that one a little bit, the Arbol one. But in terms of like what goes into the hot sauce, I took my time. It took me, maybe not actually. Some companies take a long time to produce a lot of
Yeah,
flavors.
I'd have to say the trajectory was quick. I was in utter disbelief that we started with a few, and the next thing you know, pizza shops coming out.
Yeah.
And then, every time that I talked to you, it was a new flavor, and it was, just straight fire. It was so good.
I guess I go after what I like first and foremost, and what I think will be successful, and just get a little slice of the market. Like, I don't have it up here, but not my favorite is not my most popular one is a banana pepper sauce called Pizza Shop, and that kind of took on a life of its own. The last couple sauces I developed are the lemon pepper hot sauce that I love. I love Jamaican jerk sauce. That was my last creation. This is the last bottle, unfortunately. We need Scotch bonnet peppers. So if anyone's watching this, I'll buy hundreds of pounds of Scotch bonnet peppers immediately, because you can't make fiery jerk without Scotch bonnet peppers. So you actually helped with the teriyaki Thai. I had full peppers, and you told me to chop them up, and it's been a much better experience. So I worked in a shared kitchen community space to teach me how to use a shared commercial kitchen space, instead of just throwing a lot of money or raising a lot of money into building my own facility. It was a place called Fulton Commons on the north side, and it was wonderful, very humbling. 6 small companies, 22 people in a smaller space with 1 dishwashing station. And I just kept experimenting, and I was around a lot of the best chefs and cooks in the greater Pittsburgh region, and that's true. Fulton Commons is great, and everybody taught me a
Almost
lot
like an
there.
incubator
Yeah,
for talent.
it was an incubator. I did feel like I needed a little bit more room though by the end, but
Mm-hmm.
definitely an incubator. They've definitely launched some larger companies, Harvey's in some of their location, Wise County Biscuits, which is on the north side. And my process was I'm a I'm a bull, so I like to just get things done. And I created sauces that I loved, that I thought I could share with others, just like I did with music and cannabis. And what I've loved has translated well, and it's a wide variety of flavors, and it's exotic, and I think it's kind of sexy, and that's where I am. But 12 and about 15 months in pickles is probably a lot. You're right, but my goal is to eventually have 30, 40 different flavors to choose from.
Well, I would assume, but I hate to assume, that actually cultivating and coming up with the new flavors is the fun part. So, I mean, once you realize that you had an idea that you could gain traction with, um, I mean, I know a lot of people out there, especially with the way the economy is and maybe layoffs happening, that a lot of people are thinking about possibly, going out on their own and starting a business. And, you just gave them the advice. The best thing you can do is just jump right in.
Jump right in. And sorry to interrupt you. Let me get something in here. Jump right in and just start doing things, especially if you want to get in it with people who had started already. Just make yourself invaluable.
Yeah, but that leads me to another, aspect of actually entrepreneur life or business life that's, maybe might seem intimidating, maybe not, might seem too fun. And that's like, organizational structure and actually administratively building a company. So, do you want to speak a little bit on that? Behalf in regard to should I be an LLC? Should I be an S corp?
I think you were actually helping me with that. You still are.
I appreciate that. And, that, kind of leads me to that point. I think that, once you have an idea and you're extremely good at what you do, as the brainchild, the founder, your job is to go out there, innovate new flavors, come up with the products, right? But there's got to be someone there watching your six, protecting your back end. I mean, you're only as good, correct me if I'm wrong, when it comes to, sales, how many units you're selling, but more importantly, your client retention, right? You want new clients, you want client retention.
Yeah.
Okay. That being said, if you're not expending your bandwidth and focusing on that, then the business is going to drag a little bit. So I just wanted to take some time to talk about, not stepping in any potholes at the very beginning, and structuring a company correctly from Jump Street. So what did your process look like in regard to that?
I like to move things very slow. I use the expression that microwaving things from an entrepreneurial standpoint is ineffective.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew it was going to be slow. I met with the right minds. I wanted to bring in some partners, people who could not only add monetary value in terms of being a partner, but strategy and knowledge and intelligence. So I have a great team. Shout out to my team. And I built it slow. I had 4 or 5 flavors for the first 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
I learned how to bottle properly. I learned how to put the labels on
Mm-hmm.
properly. Not that it's rocket science, but it's not as easy as it looks. And getting the bottles for a better price, so I improved my margins. Sorry, I'm rambling a little bit. I lost my train of thought.
How did you decide if you wanted to go S corp versus LLC, or the actual putting together the operating agreement? Because these are all things that need to happen at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Because if you have clear communication with your investors, also with your team that surrounds you, it avoids any like troubles that might arise or disagreements, because if you set that all up properly at the very beginning, it just makes things so much simpler for you to focus on. Again, can I get bottles cheaper? What is my artwork going to look like? The things that are going to improve your profitability of the company. But organizational structure, I mean, from a standpoint of, well, who do I do my banking with? Do I use QuickBooks? There's all decisions that need to be made. And, what exactly, what was your thought process at the very beginning on that?
I wanted an LLC, particularly because, it protects not only myself but other members of the team who have been involved. In regards to the operating agreement, I just want to shield my partners from any troubles. They're more like unofficial board members, so I want the people that got involved to not only get a great return on their investment, but be protected by law. So the LLC is easy for me right now. I do think we're going to switch it to an S corp, but not yet. The LLC is a pass-through entity, so everybody has the potential to share. Everybody has the potential to win. Everyone has the potential to lose. Everyone has the right to vote for everything going on. And an LLC just seemed like the smoothest route. Operating agreement and contracts in this situation were not as difficult in the things that I've done in the past. Again, it's a group of 8 really good friends and people I'm close with. I don't even think anybody asked me for a contract for the first 5 or 6 months. While the monetary contributions were significant, anything else is. It wasn't anything like, raise $5-10 million and build a facility and bring on 10 employees. I keep things very lean. So I want my partners to know that. And I do think they do know that. And that's why they're continuing to build with me.
I think one of the things that I want, people to take away from this is the fact that your network's important. Okay. You come up with a great idea and you're going to run with it. I'll say it till, I'm blue in the face. I think that you need a great accountant. I think that
Alan Lipton in New York City.
I think you need a great attorney that's going to be able to draft up all this paperwork.
My accountant does the paperwork.
Nice. You need.
I agree with you.
You need a financial advisors, financial advising minds, and I'm going to fair balance this by saying, again, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a CPA, but I've been around enough small businesses in my team that's what we do. We want to be able to assist anybody with an idea that wants to go out there and just jump in and run with it. To help them set up the company properly. Because if we can eliminate any mistakes that you need to make at the very beginning administratively, then that's more time that you can focus on what it is and what's going to generate you money, right?
Rebecca did a lot of that too.
Well, you got to have it, yeah.
Mom, she's a lawyer and an entrepreneur and a real estate entrepreneur and agent. And she set up my company, so it was protected and safe with everything and liability insurance and all that.
It comes back to, again, the network. And again, you might notice this on a lot of the podcasts, but I'm talking about your network. Surround yourself with, good people. And I talk about it all the time. You want to be an idiot and you want to make mistakes, hang around with an idiot or people that make a lot of mistakes. You want to be successful, hang around the most successful people. And those habits, those skills, they kind of multiply, man. They're infectious.
Yeah.
So I think that you did this the right way, keeping it tight knit.
Yeah.
I mean, from, standing back and looking through the glass, everything, keep it small, 8 people, right? That you trust, that are going to be there for you, right? They're going to tell you the truth all the time.
Absolutely.
And start small. And I'll say it again too. I tell people this: you got to crawl before you walk. You got to walk before you jog. You got to jog before you run. If you try to run before you do any of that stuff, you're going to trip over your own feet, right? So with this idea, I mean, it was exciting for me because I got to sit back and, from just inception of the idea, tasting the hot sauce, being like, wow, man, you got something here. This is pretty fantastic
too.
This is pretty fantastic to see, in less than a year period, selling over 10,000 units with, a retention rate through the roof. I mean, it's something to commend. So
you saw it too.
Yeah,
at the events you've been to.
It's been exciting.
Call it the taste to purchase conversion rate, and at events it's different, than someone not knowing me well or not seeing me. I think my retention rate through online sales is pretty high, around 15-20%. But at some of these markets, it's the best feeling in the world. And some of these pop-up events, it's up to 90-95% sometimes, and you actually saw it at a big event.
Oh, it was fun being part of it. Like
Yeah.
I like getting behind the table too, and
You
you
were
know,
good.
spouting off and you know, do advertising and selling.
You were good. We have to get more of the partners, the more events, but I know everybody's busy. And but we have 40 coming up until Halloween, so I expect you to.
Oh no, we'll definitely be out and about to more events. Uh, you know, I wanted to you know, touch on the point too that, you know, we're talking about food service right now, right? Uh, Business and ideas, in my opinion, they're like interchangeable, right? It starts with a good idea. It also starts with the ability to solve a problem, right? If you know, you kind of got that spirit and that's what you want to do next, like Artie said, just jump right in, but make sure that you have the right team around you, you know. Uh, Consult. I mean, what do they always say? It's easier to what, measure twice and cut once
Yep.
than it is to just, you know, go out there and wing it. So, you know, that's some of the things that, you know, at the Succession Wealth and Insurance Network that we can help people with in regard to consulting. I root for people, man. Where I grew up, you know, Washington, Greene County border, I want to see people do good. You know what I mean? When you came up with this idea, me too. I love food, right? I love hot things, you know?
Yeah, you were one of the first people I brought the idea to.
And, you know, to see the you know, the escalation or the trajectory as fast, it's exciting, and I'm proud of you. You know,
Thank you.
it's
Proud of you too.
it's fantastic. So I just wanted to make sure, you know, that anybody out here listening to this would know that, you know, go for it. You know, if you got an idea, you can solve a problem. When everybody zigs, you should zag. Go and do it, but just make sure that, you know, you're thinking of everything and, you know, watching your blind spots, but, you know, find that right team. And again, reach out to us. We'd be happy to help and consult with the idea. I mean, if it's an idea that, in my opinion, I don't think is going to gain any traction, I'll tell you that, you know, and maybe we can tweak it to an idea that will. Because again, the idea for this is to build something, right? Very rarely, unless you're what, like extremely wealthy, a multimillionaire, billionaire, do you actually get to go out there and have a passion project that you can just do. Who cares? I just want to do this, right? When you come up with an idea, the idea is to go out there and make money and provide for your family, right? To build something. So how do you build it efficiently? And that's some of the stuff that we can help, you know, any entrepreneur minded person with. And I encourage you again to reach out and, you know, see what we can help you with.
Yeah. Scott can explain things very quickly. He's always been that way, quickly, honestly, and efficiently. So I'd suggest if you have a business idea or somebody that you need to speak to about finances, insurance. I'm not a finance guy. I'm a marketer and a creative and people's person. Not saying you're not. Go to this guy. He's very resourceful.
I mean, let's just think about this, Artie. We go back, what, to 1997. So
28 years.
yeah, it's kind of crazy to think that. I mean, again, I'll go back to where I grew up, Washington, Greene County border. I mean, you hang around with, you know, the same, you know, set of people and whatnot. Next thing I know, I'm at college and, you know, I meet this Jewish guy from, you know, Outerdice, and then here I am, a hunky from the patch, and then
we're hunky.
Yeah, it's just like we just jive. But I know that you mentioned, so it's a Saturday night. Football team would have their parties on Saturday night after the Saturday game. Baseball players, we would do ours on Friday night. So we happened to go over to the football house, and you know. I remember us walking around the perimeter of the wall. I think Channel 4 or 11 or some the news kind of reported the fact that there was 40 people in this house. If there was 40 people in this house, then I'm a teddy bear. No, I mean, there was 140, 200 people in this house. And I can remember just the music blaring, and you could feel the floorboards in the whole house shaking. And we're walking along the perimeter of the wall. Next thing I know, the floor joists give, and we just literally fall 10 feet into the basement. I mean, the floor just boom, collapsed. I go down into the floor. I'm laying there. I feel like I think blood's coming out of my eye. I look over. I see you around. I look over. My other buddy who played baseball with me, Jared, he's laying there and he's underneath a hot water tank.
Oof.
And I'm like looking around. There's all I can smell gas. There's electrical wires going.
That's what really worried me, the gas smell.
I thought the house was going to explode. And then
Luckily, I was concussed.
yeah. I mean, I'm sitting here with my eye closed. I'm thinking, oh my God, I lost my eye. We somehow climb up out, and then I just remember people reaching down into the basement, yanking people up to the ground floor. And I mean, what, typical Saturday night at Allegheny College. So
Yeah. It was a very exciting school for a small town, a small college. A lot went on there, but I do, like, on a serious note, I do remember that. I knew Scott before that happened, and I always liked him. Friendly, smart, just got along with everybody. But he was very brave in that moment, and so was I. But he remembers looking up, and I remember looking over at him, helping a lot of scared young women, who were screaming and discombobulated. And, Scott was getting people up, and then I was getting people up, and we kind of worked together. We didn't save anyone's lives, but maybe if the place exploded.
yeah, that would have been a different news
I remember
story.
the gas. I was woozy, but I remember the gas smell. But I think I kind of bonded with him there. And up until this day, we we have like a teammate friendship. And we did work as teammates in a very stressful moment, a floor collapsing. There could have been casualties easily. It could have been massive casualties. And Scott stood next to me, and neither of us trampled anyone to run out. Him and I help people out, and that's high character behavior, and I like people with high character.
Oh, I think that, I guess the moral of the story is that we go way back, and we've been doing things together since the 90s.
Yeah.
And now I'm excited to see this and do this. And it's just another project that, surround yourself with good people and good things happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's Eagles fly with Eagles.
There we go. I love it. I love it.
We need to make t-shirts. Hopefully nobody will steal that idea.
Yeah.
Watching this, but I do keep that in mind a lot. You said that before, and I think about that a lot. When I feel like I'm around the wrong vibes or not the right people, Eagles fly with Eagles, and I fly away from someone that's not an eagle.
Yeah. With, starting a business, it's not always going to be, rainbows and sunshine, right? I mean, there's going to be some storms and some problems that you have to solve. So if you don't mind sharing with the audience out there, some of the pitfalls and maybe, snags that you ran into and some advice that you give people when they're, up against that type of adversity.
Yeah. With music, I was surrounded by, international superstars eventually, great minds, great producers, great entrepreneurs, great managers, great label heads. But I noticed that the cohesiveness of the team and the teams lessened a little bit. The more fame that came in for folks, the more money that came in. And I didn't like the direction things were turning in. Everybody, moved to Hollywood, and I was in New York City. But it started as a Pittsburgh-centric thing, and not money-wise, but my favorite times were when we were building it and nobody had any money.
Mo money, mo problems.
Mo money, mo problems, and I'm not just talking about the people around me. I mean, the problems went as far as the Donald Trump, attacking us and trying to sue us. Every other day there'd be some kind of BS lawsuit in the mail, and in the mail to our lawyers. But I think that it was very difficult in music once it got to a certain level for everybody to keep a balanced state of mind, a balanced ego. And I saw some people in the music industry, and it's obviously common, switch up a little bit. And whether it's who they always were or it's who they became, a lot of that behavior wasn't for me. And I have no interest in living in Hollywood, and I never did. So the time I spent there was great. I'm very thankful for it. But some of my pitfalls there were, uh, you know, some of us don't even talk to each other. You know, we worked together for a decade. Um,
Well, it seems like there's the ego again, and it seems like with this company and everything that you did to build this brand, there is no ego. A lot of people would have a great idea and think, well, I need to hire a chef, I need to hire employees, I need to have them do all this. You've spent more time in the kitchen doing the prep work than I can even imagine.
yeah, I'm willing. I'm willing to do anything. But anybody that knows me, even if they don't, even if we're not in touch, knows that as an entrepreneur, I was always willing to do whatever I had to do to bring value from every angle. So even with the cannabis stuff that I did, I was the pitfalls in that I think were overvaluation of companies and maybe raising too much money. But I'm not a finance person. I didn't manage books. I'm a creative, a people's person, a PR guy, a sales guy. Um, in music, we kept it really lean, which was some of my favorite years. And in cannabis, I think it was like a gold rush, when I and, other people got involved between maybe 2016 and 2019. It was a gold rush. And you see what happens sometimes with the gold rush. We were in a place where the market got really oversaturated, um, where it was difficult to have proper budgets for some of the most talented people we worked with, but to pay everybody and make sure that everybody was happy. And that was a bit of a pitfall too. So when I adjusted back to doing something real small, and with not that much capital or money involved right off the bat, I went back to my roots of how I helped build the music stuff. And again, it was very Pittsburgh centric. So pitfalls in this, nothing yet, but I could see there being some difficulties in scalability
You're going to have some
because the
big
stuff's
decisions to make soon,
pretty
like who you partner with. I
pretty
mean, there's
soon.
going to be some significant decisions that are going to impact,
Yeah.
what's next for the company.
Yeah. But like with music, I feel the same trajectory with this stuff than I did with music. And, the most important lesson though, is to not microwave anything, especially if you don't have to. And I do not have to. So I want to keep up using my fresh products, no preservatives, no additives, and keep that, hometown feel, homegrown feel, and keep that going for as long as I can. I'm in a position where I am going to have to make a lot of decisions soon, and that's a good problem to have. But with this, I went back to my roots of what my favorite days were as an entrepreneur, which is, you know, being in a small, undeveloped studio with Wiz Khalifa and watching him put together a masterpiece, other artists that I worked with. That's kind of what I feel like I did with this in my home kitchen. It's a very nice kitchen, but I did that there, and then the shared commercial space, and uh, focus on the creative and the art first and not the money.
No,
So
I
that's
mean,
just how I am.
well, I couldn't agree more. I mean, the big thing you said that's just resonating with me is the ego thing, right? I mean, if you can check the goal for any business venture, what money and success, right?
Yeah.
Which it can lead to ego. And I'll say this,
It's a big problem.
100%. And I'll say this, and I'll tell everybody out there, and I say it all the time. And if you're going to take one thing away from what I say today, take this away. People don't change. All right. Money doesn't change you. People say money changes you. It does not. It most certainly doesn't. Money just reveals who you really are. It takes the mask off and lets you be the person that you've always been.
Wanted to be.
Yeah, or wanted to be.
I agree.
But, again, don't fall into that trap. And I think that most people won't if they're surrounding themselves with the right, real people.
And if you're not, you'll know it. That's another experience that I've had where in the past, I probably should have pivoted away from some of my businesses that I helped run and start. But maybe I stuck, maybe I remained in some of them for the money. And if I could go back in time, which I won't, and perhaps I'm being fooled by nostalgia, I would have left some people when I started to get that bad vibe about them as, oh, this is who you
Oh,
really
I think
are.
at the end of the day, though,
I don't like it.
the way you grew up and all that stuff, the way I grew up is you look at failure as failure. It's sometimes you're just not dealt the right hand or you're playing the wrong cards, right? If you got a 2-7, you can only bluff at the pot for so long,
Yeah.
right? There's a time to fold that hand and play a new hand. And it's not a bad thing to do that. It's just like you said, it's a pivot. Like what's next?
I always feel very responsible for people, whether they've given me time, invested money in situations that I'm in. So perhaps I'm just, not the greatest businessman in the world and I feel too much. So sometimes I stuck around a lot to to bring everybody along and bring the situation to a better level where it might not have been my responsibility to do so.
No, you just carry too much bait. Sometimes it's just good to set it down.
I'm 46 years old and that's how I am now. And whether it's too late or not is insignificant because I'm here.
What Steve Jobs? I mean, most CEOs, these guys didn't turn into multimillionaires till they were in their 40s or 50s.
Yeah.
So a lot of people out there are like, "Oh my God, I'm 45, I'm 50. It's too late." It's not too late. If you got a great idea and you can solve a problem, take the jump, right? Take the jump and do it.
Just one question that I had too for you, since you've asked me a lot of the questions. Do you have any advice for any entrepreneurs like me who are not necessarily trying to stay afloat, but in a position where they're not sure when or if they can retire? Because when you get to my age, you start thinking about that a little bit. Do you focus on the exit of a company and try to go from there, or any advice you have for me or anybody else listening?
Yeah, what most people don't realize is the fact that they were told a story their entire life. Okay, you're gonna, graduate high school. You may go on to college. You may, go on to a trade school. You may do whatever, right? But nonetheless, you're taught that there's going to be a retirement plan there. You're going to make X amount an hour. You're going to defer so much into your retirement account. That's going to grow. Whenever it gets big enough, you're going to retire, right? That's provided to you by your employer. Well, let's think about this. What if you are the employer? You're the entrepreneur. You're starting your own business. So the blood, sweat, and tears, any extra money that you have from revenue, you're putting back in the company to ensure that it gets to the point where you want it. I mean, it takes a lot of stress too. So I noticed that a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, they typically have health problems a little later because you're putting your all into that business, right?
Yeah.
Not only are you responsible for yourself, but then when you take on employees, you're responsible for them. So you're going to set up that retirement account and you're going to make sure that they have, right? That's the ethical thing to do. But what you're forgetting is the fact that you're building a business. There's a value to that business, right? So when it comes time, do you start thinking about, well, do I pass this on to my kids? Am I going to sell it? Am I going to sell it and am I going to stay on and consult and receive a retainer while the new ownership takes on? Again, it comes back to the fact that that's an asset, right? That is your retirement. So
That's the goal.
it's not something that you do lighthearted. I mean, it's something that you're going to consult with, again, your board of directors, your CPA, your attorney, your financial advisor. What's going to put you in the optimal position to be able to sell that company? Because whereas a lot of other people might have saved their entire 40-year working career, you robbed Peter to pay Paul. And what I mean by that is the fact that you put any extra money back into your business. You couldn't put that into a retirement account. You couldn't put that into a brokerage account. You were building value within that business. So when it comes times to sell, no, you're not behind the 8 ball. You're going to exit, but whereas everybody else put money into retirement accounts, that money was tax deferred. They didn't pay taxes on that, right? They pay taxes when it comes out. But when you sell a business, there's going to be a taxable burden on that. So you're going to get a haircut immediately. So the point that I make in, telling you this, or the advice that I give, is get a team around you that's going to put the most money in your bank account, because that is what you worked your entire career building this business or brand was about.
Yep.
So, that's the best advice that I can give. And obviously at, SWIN, we can help, anybody who is going down that path.
Yeah.
I just wanted to take some time to, thank you, Artie, for, showing up and talking to everyone today in regard to business owner life, entrepreneur life. I just wanted to give you a minute to, talk to the audience and tell them where to find you. And, we'll go from there.
Yeah, everybody can find me at a farmer's market or pop-up event all spring, summer, and fall. We're booked for 40 of them. We're in Greensburg, Ligonier, Squirrel Hill, um, so many more places. You can look on our website, which is artieshotsauce.com, to find out where we are. We are not in too many shops. I'm not that into retail yet for margin purposes. But there's a very direct to consumer home feel appeal to my company. And just write us and we'll get you the sauces immediately. And you can find us on social media. It's all Artie's Hot Sauce: Facebook, Artie's Hot Sauce; Twitter, Artie's Hot Sauce; Instagram. Just Google us. We have a very nice presence regionally and outside of here.
Well, again, I appreciate Artie showing up today.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for everything. You're a good man.
Yeah, definitely appreciate it. And if you guys haven't heard about it or don't know about it, please seek him out. It's been an absolute pleasure, helping you out. And any other business owners out there, whether it be small, medium, large, it doesn't matter. If anything today resonated with you and you just needed a second voice, or you just needed to talk about some stuff, maybe considerations you haven't thought about, please reach out to us at the Succession Wealth and Insurance Network. We'd be happy to help. Appreciate you. And that's the podcast.